privileged enough to be in Stuart's private studio, and I saw the sheets where he's writing out the parts for 60 players. You think strumming a guitar is hard. Try and imagine hearing every one of those instruments in your head.
Because, you know, when you're making music for a record or music to come out of speakers, you play it, you record it, it comes out, I like it, I don't like it. You fiddle it until you like it. The orchestra thing, you gotta do it in homework and you gotta mix it in your head. You have the page, and like you're saying, the page is that tall with the staves going across, and the top one starts with the flute, or piccolo and the flute, and all the way down, and then it gets into the brass, then it gets into the piano, harp, and all that stuff, and then the strings. So they read from left to right, all those guys, and each one of them gets their own little book. The you know, trumpet 3 gets his own little book with the trumpet 3 part. And you don't have to worry about the other guys. But you have to do the homework. And once you have, it's amazing what the orchestra can do. I don't even know how we've gone. Oh yeah, the score part. It is amazing the amount of information you have to put on that page. But once you do, I can go sit with the Chicago Symphony and in 2.5 hours work up a 90-minute program, and they will play it that night with precision.
That's amazing stuff. Now, again, I go all the way back to the beginning, seeing you guys starting in a van and then exploding with MTV. We all know as MTV took off, Stuart and his band was the perfect match. And you guys had those exotic videos traveling to Egypt and India and all that. But of course, Stuart has a background where his family traveled all over the world. Concertos coming, all the great movie scores. It is with our pleasure, as we say here at the Indie Entertainment Summit, that to Stuart Copeland, your talents have touched the world and inspired us all, from the creative community and IES to you. Will you please give a warm IES welcome as we induct Stuart Copeland, IES honors.
Cameras, please. Music, please.
Rocks! You don't have to put over at night. Those days are over. You don't
First of all, from my left over here, you've heard her singing on Cat People, and not only so many great Giorgio Moroder produced tracks with David Bowie, but you've heard her on the Eurythmics, on T-Rex, on Tom Petty, on Michael Jackson. She's got a book, she's got an album, the amazing vocals. Will you please give it up for Stephanie Stool? And we're so proud he could make it. We've been searching for him for weeks. He is in the flesh. Will you please celebrate the bass player who toured the world with David Bowie? If anybody saw the Glass Spider tour, all the great stuff, please give it up for the legendary bass player, Carmine Corfine. And this gentleman you may not know by face, but he's probably got the longest tenure with Mr. Bowie right here. Okay. He was the product manager back in RCA when David made all these classic hits. When David said, well, F that, I'm going to go start my own company. He took this gentleman with him. He was with him for many years, some great stories. We please give it up for close Bowie confidant, Andy Francis. And all the way from Iggy Pop and Lust for Life with Bowie to the Tin Machine to a great, great friendship with Mr. Bowie. On the bass, will you please give it up for Tony Sale? And last but not least, you know him from all the hits, from Blondie, from Eurythmics and all that, but more importantly, he got rock and roll in his blood. I say he's the best rock and roll drummer in the fucking world. He's going to rock you tonight, tell you a little story about meeting up with Mr. Bowie. Give it up, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer right here, Clint Burt. So please, why don't you jump in, Andy? Grab one of these mics. You can pass them around, or take this mic. Talk about your friend, Mr. David here, and some of your experiences with him, and enlighten our crowd on the special man he was.
All right. I'm going to give you the first experience. It makes the most sense to start at the beginning. So I'm a product manager at RCA, and someone says to me, somebody from the Bowie office is going to come down and talk about the new record. I said, terrific. And, that's not unusual. That's what happens. But what the unusual part is, I'm at my desk, and all of a sudden, in walks David Bowie to talk about his album. He didn't send anybody. He didn't have a second in command that he wanted to talk. He came in himself to discuss the whole thing, and he was very kind about it because my background was marketing promotion, and he was trying to instill a creative sense into what is, he wanted to see the art in the science of marketing and promotion. And by the time I was done working on that, I began to see the art that can come out of promotion and marketing, and it's not just a road and we're going to run the billboard ad and then we're going to find, a way to get the video on MTV. There's a lot more organic ways to approach that, and he was very organic in how he saw challenges, how he embraced challenges, how he raced after challenges. Eventually, when he hired me to work for him, I was in the wonderful position that if I could bring him a project that had never been done before, he would always challenge.
Tony, enlighten us a little, Tony, about your experience with David, how you met, and what was so special about working with him.
But Hunt, my brother and I, we were working with Todd Rundgren in New York.
I was so blessed to work with David Bowie when he started acting. And the first movie I did with him was Hunger. And that's when when the Sing Clavier came out. And at that time, back in the day, baby, old school beats new school, hey, it's all about longevity. And so they had to use these weird voices because, he was different, he was unique, he was a genius. And so all these, and, put all these different sounds and the coloratura sounds in the Sing Clavier. And they would play it all weird. So in Hunger, that was my first introduction with David Bowie. He loved my work. And then I got a call from Giorgio Moroder that he wanted me to work on the movie Cat People. And that's when he wrote the scores, for all of it. And when he's talking about putting out the fire with gasoline, I said, how you put out a fire with gasoline, David? You know what I'm saying? But see, that's where David's coming from. He's deep, So he had me really singing out there, putting out the fire with gasoline. Doing my thing, because that's what I did for all of the stars that would call me, to either write the background arrangements for the songs, either Donna Summer, whomever. So, but David Bowie, my God, I was so blessed. And then a few years after that, I saw Inglourious Bastards. And then ka-ching, ka-ching, okay? And then I said, they played that song, and I understood where David was coming from because that scene was a pivotal scene when they were putting out the fire in that theater. You guys remember that? In Inglourious Bastards, that's right. And they were putting it out with gasoline. So I said, okay, David. It took me a few years to get to it, but it was wonderful working with him. He was a genius, and he's still a genius because he's here. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Thanks so much, Stephanie. And Tim, obviously growing up in New York, obviously inspired by all this great music. I know Blondie had some paths you guys crossed with Mr. Bowie, and of course being a fan and playing with so many artists. Talk a little bit about your experience and certainly what you gleaned from his music and creativity.
Okay, sure. Well, I gotta say,
Oh,
that great? Let's hear it for Stephanie, right? That's phenomenal. I think we need Edward wherever he is.
And Tony, yeah, Tony too.
You're up. You're Tony.
No, we're going to do a little Rebel. We want to introduce Sean from the Eiffels, a great band from IES.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
I think I am.
Okay. We're going to join in,
Alright, right on.
and then we're going to do maybe even a little less for live. Are you guys ready for this? Ready if everybody can come to the front of the stage.
Get your cameras ready, guys.
David Bowie. I love you, David Bowie.
Andy, I need you right over my shoulder. I'm right over it. Mr. Clint, we're gonna hold this one.
We are a little double induction here, you know, having so many great people from so many bands over the years. Very, very special honor to not only induct David, but of course Clint for his work with Blondie and all the great stuff over the years. Of course Tin Machine here and all the great stuff with Iggy and David with Tony. And of course Andy, all the years with David and Carmine. Such great work, not only with David, but of course the great Joe Bonamassa and Rod Stewart, everybody that Carmine has played with. And Stephanie, we'd be here for the next week if we listed all the hits that she was on. So it's with our gratitude, I'm going to hold this together with you, Andy. We want to ask everybody in the room to give a really heartfelt, applause as we induct. IES inducts, like we always say, your talents have touched the world and inspired us all from the creative community. And I ask to you a very warm induction to Mr. David Bowie. Turn that music up. Thank you so much. Will you please give it up? Stephanie Spruill, Tony Sales, and Mr. Clint Bird. Give us a few minutes. We're going to rock your face off.
My latest book is 17 Points of Longevity and Show Business Things. Focus on your vision, and you guys can get in here, okay? Let's rock and roll!
Let's rock and roll.
Across the nation, dance the ropes for me.